You're listening to the Beyond Mommy Dearest podcast, where we talk about growing up with narcissistic moms, how it shapes your nervous system, your relationships, and your sense of self, and how to heal without shame. I'm your host, Noelani Pearl Hernandez. Today's episode is sponsored by plant-powered body care that actually works. Today I'm joined by Kylie B, author of The Narcissistic Daughter, and we're getting real about no contact, healing, and reclaiming who you are. Kylie, thank you so much for being here with me today. We were just talking about how um, we kind of ran into each other. I found you through, I think you had interviewed, or one of my former interviews had interviewed you, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
we
I have
done
to have her on.
a
Yeah,
live. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind my the name of our podcast, the Beyond Mommy Dearest, was kind of like a play on the Mommy Dearest movie, and you just went
Yeah.
straight in. You're like narcissist daughter, which I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Perfect
You know,
match.
and for people who are just meeting you, can you share a little bit about your journey and what led you to write your book, The Narcissist Daughter?
Sure. So I am Kylie B, for those of you that don't know. I obviously grew up with a narcissistic mother, went no contact at the age of 26. So I've been no contact for 11 years now. And during that process, as part of my healing journey, I decided to start writing my book. I didn't actually start writing to write a book. I just started writing to kind of get it all out. And then one day someone said to me, this is a great read. I let my friend read it. She
Mhm.
said, why didn't you try putting it out as a blog? So I was like, who's gonna care about me? I'm just Kylie from London. Like, who am I?
That's your mom talking.
Yeah, exactly. So I put a couple blogs out. I started a Facebook page and, it went well. I connected with so many people from all around the world, and I had
Mhm.
women from Australia messaging me to tell me how I'd given them strength. So I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this. Anyway, fast forward to today, that Facebook page now sits at 122,000 followers.
Oh my gosh, that's so
So
many.
thank
Oh
you.
cow.
So during that process, I realized, okay, people do care. People do
Mhm,
need to hear my story, and I need to
mhm.
get it out. So I put more structure to my blogs, and I wrote a memoir, which is The Narcissist Daughter.
Oh
And
wow,
that's how
that's
I came.
that's amazing. And we had talked about how, this is a really sad reason why we found each other. And what I found in the healing community, and especially in the space of narcissists or people who have had narcissistic relationships, is people are so kind. And I think some of that comes from
Yeah.
the fact that we come from such a space that is so horrendous. But it's so sad. Like I say, oh my gosh, there's so many followers, but
Mhm.
I mean that probably is just
It's quite
the
sad. It's a
yeah,
bittersweet because
yeah,
there's so many of us that understand this journey, and that's what
right.
makes it sad.
Right. Well, and it's really interesting because, like, I don't have to explain to you, you don't have to explain to me the chaos that we
Yeah.
went through. Like,
Yeah.
we totally
We
understand.
just know,
Like,
like, if you know,
yeah,
you know.
if you know, you know, right. And if I'm like, oh, this one time, you would say, oh, yep, that
Yeah.
totally happened to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate that, because I think that, and especially what I'll say with therapists who understand this, or coaches that understand this, there is a comfort that comes from not having to re-explain everything over
Yes.
again,
Yeah.
because we're not being injured over and over again.
No. I almost feel like when people say, well, what's your story? And you have to explain it, it almost feels
Mhm.
like they don't believe you.
Yes, that
And it's
drives
like,
me
why do I
nuts.
have to explain myself to you? Why can't you just accept that my mom was a narcissist?
Yeah. So I want you to know that I believe you. And even though I'm making you retell your story, I want you to feel seen, because
Yeah.
it, it is, when we talk about it, or when there's certain things that we say very matter of factly
Mhm.
about the abuse, people are always so shocked.
Yeah.
And so, for you and for me, it looks like around the same time we went around no contact. I was in 15, it says that you've been no contact since 2014.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, which is, it's a really significant decision. I don't think anyone understands what that
No.
is. Like, I know that my mother is alive,
Yeah.
but I don't talk to her, and I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what in your life led you to that decision?
So this is a good question because I feel like a lot of people think we just wake up one day and be like, that's it, I never want to speak to my mum again. And it is
Right.
not that. It's
Mm-mm.
years and years of torture and going back and forth to kind of finally get to that point where you have the confidence to say like no more.
Mhm.
Um, so I initially went no contact in January 2014, when I found out that my mum was having an affair. And I tried to speak to her about it, and she knew that I knew, so she avoided me, was like, "No, I don't
Mhm.
want to speak to you.
Mhm.
If you don't want to tell me what it's about, I don't want to speak to you." And I'm like, can a daughter not just want to speak to her mother
Yeah.
without having to
Yeah.
explain? But
Yeah.
she refused to meet up with me because she knew that I knew. So she then went on a kind of smear campaign to try and turn everyone else against me because she knew that shit was about to blow up and she
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
cover that up. So she went and told my nan a load of lies about me, and my nan called me up and started in my ear telling
Mhm.
me that I was ungrateful. Why are you being so horrible to your mum? So I said, Nanny, with all due respect, I wasn't going to tell you why me and my mum are not speaking, but if she's going to lie to you, I'm going to tell you the
Mhm.
truth. So I
Mhm.
told my nan about the affair. Anyway, me and my mum didn't speak.
Mhm.
Then in the April, unfortunately, my nan passed away.
I'm sorry. Mhm.
So I then beat myself up. All the guilt came back that you get when you go
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
contact. And I
Mhm.
was like, she's just lost her mum. I should reach out to her.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I did, and I wish I hadn't.
Mhm.
So we were back in contact for a few months. So that was the April. And then in the November, she just went funny again. And
Mhm.
she basically said, like, I can't forgive you for what you did, what for you telling Nanny. So
Mhm.
you can't forgive me for telling the truth.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
she said, I can't do this anymore. I don't like you. I don't want to be part of your life. So we got into a massive argument. Long story short, during the few months where we were back in contact, I found my school reports and I discovered that I was actually on a child protection register for neglect because she wasn't sending me to school. My average attendance was like 30% for the year.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
Okay.
when we had this final showdown, I confronted her about it, and
Mhm.
she turned around and said, yeah, you've got mental health problems making all of that up. So that's when I knew I'm never going to get through to her. Like, there's no point even trying, there's no point arguing with her. Like, I'm so done. And the last thing she said to me was, I should have aborted you when I had the chance.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
Oh my gosh. As a mother, and we were talking about this, like, I can't even imagine saying that to my child.
I know
Like,
it's crazy.
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Well,
think
now,
because I was so calm
yeah,
in that conversation, she was
yeah,
trying to get to me.
some
But at
kind of,
that point,
yeah,
I was done.
yeah,
So she
yeah.
couldn't.
Well, and that's really interesting that your school reports were showing that you had been absent. I think that
Mhm.
for a lot of children who have this kind of narcissism, I don't think the system knows how to handle it, like the
No.
school system or anything, because they think, oh, a child is absent often, and they might think, oh, maybe they're sick, or,
Yeah.
maybe they're the problem, the child's the problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's never that question that it might be the mom that's the problem.
Mhm.
And the mom's keeping them because
Yeah.
they're going to say something about, a
Yeah.
billion things. It's really interesting because I remember being in high school, and I was out a lot during, I think it was my sophomore year of high school. And because I depended on my mom to drive me to school.
Mhm.
And I remember saying, I have to leave to go to school. I need you to take me. and my hair was really long at the time. I started walking out the door and she just grabbed it and pulled me right down. My mom's teeny tiny,
Wow.
4'11". And I was, probably full grown there, 5'1", not much of a difference, but
Mhm.
my mom was teeny tiny. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why wouldn't you, as a mom, and the same thing I think about your mom, want you
Yeah.
to be educated, to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
socialized, any of
yeah.
those things?
It's crazy, but I think
Yeah.
it all goes down to that control, and they need to keep us small so that we need them.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. And I'm so sorry that you went through that. And at what point, or when did you decide? I know we talked a little bit about your friend saying, hey, you should really write this book, or you
Mhm.
should really make this public. But what made you decide to really kind of turn that personal healing into something public, to where now you have like 120,000 followers and you've created this book, Awaken the Phoenix? Like, what made you think of, okay, I got to do this now?
Yeah. So I think it comes down to when I first discovered that my mum was a narcissist, I came across an article on maternal narcissism. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that maternal narcissism was a thing. So when I was
Mm-hmm.
reading this article, it was almost like a eureka moment in my head, like, oh my God, this is my life. This is a blueprint to my life. It all makes sense now. And I found so much comfort in that article that I was like, I want to give other people this comfort because at that point I'd spent 27 years of my life being confused and feeling like I
Mm-hmm.
was alone and blaming myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to give other people that feeling that I had just discovered in that moment so that they knew
Mm-hmm.
that they weren't alone. So that's why I started writing the book. Awaken the Phoenix is my online course. That is more kind of the journey, the things that I did to heal. So
Mm-hmm.
anything I do in my healing journey, I share that with my community. Like I'm so transparent, and if I try something, I'm going to let you know. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I really love that, because I think for a lot of narcissistic survivors, there's like this sense of justice in us,
Mm.
where we are like, and as a result of being a narcissistic survivor, that like there's an oversharing that we have. So
Yeah.
we have to like adjust that to where it works really well. And I think in the past, before the internet and all these things, um, and where you're having like those kind of conversations, it can scare people off.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's like, give me more, give me more. People constantly are looking for that.
Yeah.
And the name of your course and of your book, it's really powerful. What does this represent for you and the people who have taken the course or read the book, or even the people that you serve?
So I think the Phoenix name kind of comes from that's what I feel like my journey has been. I've had that Phoenix moment. I've had my rebirth. I've risen from the ashes that were meant to
Mhm.
kind of finish me off, and
Right,
I've come back a stronger person.
right.
So I have a really strong connection to the Phoenix, which is why that that course was named that.
I love that. Looking back now, what are some of the dynamics in the relationship with your mom that at the time you didn't fully understand, but do now?
I think I was always trying to please her.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always thinking like, what can I do more? How can I be a better daughter? I must be doing something wrong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at a very young age as well, I was more of an adult. I was very mature. She
Hmm.
involved
Hmm.
me in a lot of adult things. So if there was adult arguments going on, I knew
Hmm.
everything. I knew what was going on. She was confiding in
Right,
me.
right,
So it was really hard to kind of to deal with at a young child, to
right,
take on all those
right.
emotions. And I think as I've got older, I've realized how unnatural that was.
Hmm. Hmm. You know, uh, before, it sounds like even before you had this narcissism and abuse language, and what I will say is over the course of the last 20 years, I've really seen it get a lot more defined. When I was in graduate school, working on my MFT, one of the things that we talked about is there was like a really small like version of like this is what abuse is and this is what narcissism
Mhm.
is. And one of the reasons why I went into that field was because in my psychology 101 class we had talked about narcissistic personality disorder. I was like, holy crap, that's my mom.
Wow.
And I was like, this is a lot. And what I will say is it's common for a lot of psychology students to be like, oh, I might be that, oh, I might be that. But then it falls to the wayside where this just kept like blaring in my ear. But while I was in graduate school, almost 20 years ago, what they said was narcissists very rarely go to any kind of therapy because they're trying to hide and they always force the
Yeah.
other person to
Yeah.
go to therapy.
Yeah. And they don't see that they have a problem. There's
No,
nothing wrong in what they're doing, so they won't go to
no,
therapy.
never, never. And that's the thing that makes it maddening, especially for
Mm.
people who are experiencing that. So, for you, because you didn't have that language, what did it feel like for you to kind of be in that environment?
It was terrifying.
Hmm.
As
Hmm.
a child, not knowing what mood I was going to wake up to my mum being
Hmm.
in. Was I
Hmm.
going to get the silent treatment today because I breathed wrong? Like it
Hmm.
was absolutely terrifying. And it was exhausting as well because you're
Hmm.
constantly having to adapt your emotions based off
Hmm.
hers. And, if she's in a bad mood, I'm going to
Hmm.
be walking on eggshells. And
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
child, that's a lot to take on.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I think about now when with my mom out of my life and whenever I have to deal even with narcissistic tendencies, like I am exhausted because
Mm.
it's such a different like flow when you're dealing
Yeah.
with it. And a lot of times when I was younger, and I would assume too for you when you were younger, and a lot of daughters or even sons that are going through this with their mother being a narcissist, they
Mhm.
often feel like they're too much and not enough at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so how did that show up for you, like growing up and now? Because one thing is we never get over it.
Yeah.
So like it pops up at like the most random time. So how did it show up for you then? And how
Mm.
does it show up for you now?
So I always felt like I wasn't enough. I was always trying to do more to just to get my mum to love me. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
I remember there was one time where there was like a school fete on, and I saved some, I don't even know where I got the money from, but I saved some money and I bought
Hmm.
her a Mother's Day present at the school fete. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
kept it hidden in my room because Mother's Day
yeah.
was like a week away. Kept
Hmm.
it hidden. In the morning, I got up and I was like, this is going to make my mum really happy. She's going to be like really happy. She's going
Hmm.
to love me. And because I got up and went straight to the bathroom because I needed to go to the toilet, and I didn't
Yeah, of
get up
course.
and go
Yeah.
straight to her and say Happy Mother's Day, when I did go in with the present and say Happy Mother's Day, she was like, I don't want it. You didn't even say Happy Mother's Day to me when you woke up. And I was like, I've literally just woke up. I needed to pee.
Yeah, gosh.
So even in those moments where I felt I was trying to make up and trying to be enough, she almost always knocked it down.
And I think for a lot of people it's hard to even imagine. Like I even some of the stuff that I say because my mom gaslit me. I'm like, did she really do that? Like, was
Yeah.
she really that crazy? And so for me, what I find is I I think it's so unbelievable because I have a daughter who's 30, and then I have my three bonus kids who are 23, 17, and 14. And I could never imagine even being like my mother or
No, it's crazy.
conditional or like not loving my kids at all. Like
Yeah.
that to me is crazy.
Crazy. Like I'm not a parent yet, but I've got so many nieces and nephews, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I love them so much.
I
And I'm like,
know.
how can you not love a child that
I
you've
know.
produced?
Well, and that to me is crazy. And they're so cute. Kids are
They
so
are.
cute. And they're so ridiculous. They say the craziest things.
Yeah.
And like,
You just can't be sad around a child.
no,
They're
you
so
can't.
pure and
Yeah.
just innocent. I love kids.
I love that you are an aunt. I love that because, and then
I'm the
when
fun
you,
aunt.
oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I love it because it's, I didn't have any brothers or sisters, so
Mm.
I don't know. Um, and I'm sad by that sometimes, but often really thankful because I wouldn't want to, see someone that I cared about go through this.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think that that is for me a really, really hard thing. Where, when you were growing up, well, and I guess so you have siblings.
But my youngest brother, he's actually going to be 18 tomorrow.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
when I went no contact with my mum, he was 6. And as
Oh,
a result of the no contact, I
he
lost
couldn't see
him.
you. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Oh, and he was so teeny tiny too.
Mm. And
So
there's 20 years
yeah.
between us. So when
Oh,
he was
wow. Yeah.
born, we were
Yeah.
super close because I would take him to like baby groups and
Yeah.
take him to
Yeah.
Santa and just do all the
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was heartbreaking.
Oh, I'm
And
so
I think
sorry.
that's if I refer back to the breakthrough moment of my book title,
Hmm. Hmm.
I think it comes from that because when I went no contact and lost him, that was my breakdown.
Oh,
Like I was
yeah.
at I was at rock bottom, and then I
Yeah.
discovered that rock bottom had a basement. So I
Yeah.
didn't think it
Yeah.
could get any worse than it did.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
so then that's when the Phoenix moment came because I was like, I can either stay here
hmm.
or I
Hmm.
can use this pain and turn it into power.
Was there a moment for you where things like clicked, where even though it wasn't the no contact part, but it was like, okay, my mom, there's something wrong, and you began to really see your experience more clearly, and then be able to kind of maneuver through it, even though you were still there with her.
Yeah, I think probably when I was around about 18, I started to talk to my friends about my relationship with my
Mm-hmm.
mum,
Hmm.
and their reaction was what made me realize it wasn't normal.
Oh, yes. Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
you're just casually saying, oh, this happened yesterday, thinking it's normal. But
And they're like,
when
what?
they're like, what? That's so little things like that. And I started to be like, okay. And I started to see my friends' relationships with their parents. And
Hmm.
I was like,
Hmm.
oh, this is nice. Like, this is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that was a big eye opener to me.
Yeah. Um, I know that that was one of the eye openers for me when I was at a friend's house, and her mom was a stay at home mom, so a little bit different. My mom worked full time, so did my dad. And I remember her mom was like, let's make some cookies. I was like,
Mm.
what? Make cookies? Like, that's weird. And she's like, here, I just made dinner. I was like, okay. And I equated it to less about my mom being a narcissist and more, oh, they're working all the
She's
time.
busy, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I found out like they worked 4 days on and 4 days off. And I was like, but even on her off days, she doesn't like
Yeah, yeah.
take care of me. What? Like
So
it was
my
very,
mum was a stay-at-home mum and she didn't do anything.
oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to travel to the UK, and we're gonna have to like go do something. I have a whole collection of people that we gotta go see. So, you
Yeah,
know,
definitely come.
yeah. So, a lot of people say that going no contact is often a choice. Like, but it's all like definitely it is a choice, but there's a process that comes with it.
Mm.
And so what did you feel like that transition was like emotionally, and then also like in your body? How did
Yeah.
that feel for you?
So I think when I finally went no contact, it kind of had been building up for about 7 years
Mm-hmm.
because I initially tried to go no contact when my mum was pregnant with my youngest brother.
Okay.
Um, there was a big argument between me and my stepdad, and I kind of ran
Mhm,
out of the house. And then I
mhm,
kind of said to her, like, I'm so unhappy, like, I just want to
mhm,
die, and
mhm,
I
mhm,
can't live like this anymore. And
mhm.
I wrote her a letter, and she just shunned the letter, was like, I don't have time for this, I need to leave. So I was house sitting for 3 weeks. So I went to go and house sit. And during that
Mhm.
time, I was just like, I can't
Just
do this
amazing.
anymore.
Yeah.
This is so
Mhm,
toxic.
mhm, mhm.
So I started to look for somewhere else to live. And she called me up when she realized that I was leaving. And she said to me, I'm going to abort the baby because I know that this is why you're acting up, because you don't want me to have it. And I was so
God.
angry.
Oh my God.
I was literally so angry that she was going to try and guilt me into like coming home. And that was a massive eye opener for me. So I think from that point forward, I started to grieve for my mum.
Yep.
And I
Mhm,
tried to go no contact so many times in those
mhm.
7 years, but I didn't because of my siblings and they were still really young.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest of four.
Okay.
So it was really hard. And then when we had that final showdown, I think I'd
Mhm,
been through so much and I'd grieved for so many years that I was just
mhm.
like, I'm done.
I'm ready.
And
Mhm,
it was such a relief.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
as soon as that phone call ended, I knew, like, this is it. There's no going back.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just felt lighter.
Wow. I think that it's really interesting that you were saying this about your mom in regards to the aborting, because I remember when my mom was pregnant with me, like there's these like weird things that narcissists do.
Yeah.
And I remember when she was pregnant with me, and every time on my birthday just passed and I actually didn't get a call from her, and this is the first time that I don't have a message, I don't have a call, and I actually feel really good about it, because the call consists of, I should have had an abortion when I found out I was pregnant because you almost killed me. And I was
Wow.
like, okay, I totally get it. I get 50 years ago it was different, or 49. I'm not quite 50 yet.
Mhm.
So 49 years ago it was a little bit different. And that is crazy talk. Like any person that would say that to their child. Like I'm so sorry that your mom said that to you, because like to put that weight, that
Yeah.
adult decision on you,
Hmm.
um is huge. And
Yeah.
I don't think that people understand. I think that there are certain celebrities out here, Mel Robbins and Oprah, who have talked
Mhm.
about people being spoiled. That's why
Yeah.
they're no
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah. It frustrates me
And
so much when I hear that.
yes, yes, because um I think that comes from a very privileged spot.
Hmm.
And it makes me angry that they would say something so dangerous for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Because some, like, when we go no contact for the first time, we have so much guilt and blame already.
Hmm.
So to
Hmm.
hear someone say something like that, it can really tip someone over the edge.
Yes, it absolutely can. And I think that is why I think that well, in my experience, when people have that kind of reaction to no contact, I think there's this whole other side of, okay, should we be looking at Oprah and Mel Robbins as narcissists too? But that's a whole nother,
Yeah, so that's a story for another
episode.
day.
Yeah. So we can go through that. But after going no contact, I think there's a lot of difficulties, and oftentimes like I don't really share them.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want to, but no one has really asked. So like for you, what was the hardest part that people don't talk about when you go no contact?
I think it is kind of that blame and that guilt that you get, and you all the words that you've heard from your mum over the years start to come rushing into your head, and you're like, am I being ungrateful? Am I, I'm being a bad daughter,
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
and
mhm,
I'm not being enough, like this is wrong.
mhm,
And then you start to grieve and then you get angry. It's like it's a roller coaster of emotions when you go no
mhm,
contacts, because
mhm,
everything that you've suppressed for so many years,
mhm,
suddenly it's like a
mhm,
pressure cooker, and it's
mhm.
bubbling and it's bubbling and it all comes out.
That's a really good analogy. I think for a lot of people, they don't understand
Mm.
that you go through that. I think the other thing is too that um, oftentimes I get like a lot of the sparks when flying monkeys would reach out to me, which
Mm.
is really why I've kind of disconnected from both sides of my family. One side, because I'm biracial, is like super racist towards the other
Oh
side. That's
God.
again a whole nother thing to have a conversation about. But I think for me, like it was really interesting to have like my grandmother before she passed away just recently call me during COVID, and she said, "Your mom's really worried about you. You know, you should let bygones be bygones. You should call." And I was like, did not expect that at all from her.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
was a huge shock, and I was like, okay, I really appreciate that you want to do this for my mom, and
Mm.
I don't think you understand what has happened. I know that you have some inkling, but I don't think
Mm.
you really understand. And so, unless you want to sit down with me for several hours, I think that it's best that you kind of just stay out of this. And it
Yeah.
was the last time I talked to her because
Oh,
she was really upset. And I know, like, because my husband and I talked about it, and he's like, I know that she loved you. She knows
yeah.
that you loved her, and there was nothing else that you needed to do. I was
And
like,
you know,
okay.
she can see the truth now, like she knows.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my big thing. I think for a lot of people, it's they don't understand. Right.
Mm.
And I think that there is like the decision for me, and I'm assuming for you, that this impacted like your identity and
Yeah.
your sense of that identity, especially after being shaped by that relationship for so
Yeah.
long. So how did that for you? How did you kind of get through that?
It was really difficult because I think a lot of people talk about like finding themselves again
Mhm.
when they come out of relationships like this. But for me, it was all I never ever knew. So I didn't know who I was without it. So
Mhm.
I had to find out who I was, and I
Mhm.
had to learn everything. I had to basically learn what you would usually learn at the age of 4 when you're figuring
Mhm.
things out and you're being curious.
Mhm.
I had to
Mhm.
do that at the age of 26. And, you know, I'm still working for it now. I'm still figuring out what I like and what I don't
Yeah.
like and who I
Yeah.
am and what
Yeah.
works for me. And
Yeah.
it's a lifelong journey.
Well, and I think that's one of the things to understand. For me, I know what I don't like. Like, I know that these are the things that I don't like. And I think that's why this sense of justice is really a big thing for me.
Yeah.
And there's certain things like I know for me personally that I need as I maybe if I having an emotional dysregulation. For me, especially, and I talk about this often, I think that perimenopause has like thrown a lot of stuff my way that I didn't think
Mm.
it would in regards to like old traumas being like built up. And it's
Yeah.
not the trauma itself, but it's that feeling of that trauma.
Mm.
And I like had a panic attack the other day, and
Oh,
I
bless
had
you.
not, yeah, I had not had one except for the first time, like when perimenopause hit. And I was like, this is like anybody who's going through trying to heal from a crazy mom and
Yeah.
then having to go through these panic attacks.
Mm.
I think for me, I just like willed it out of me when I was going no contact. I didn't really have a choice. I had my daughter, and so I just
Yeah.
had to move forward.
Yeah.
And so it's really like I know the things that work well for me during that time. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I got to open the windows. I think mine was triggered just recently by smell. I had like
Okay.
a bunch of candles that were going on. And
Yeah.
so my husband's like, let's turn off the candles, let's open the window. And then I think that it should be okay. I was like, okay, I
And I
feel
think
a
that's a
thousand
really
times better.
important thing as well to work for your
Yeah.
triggers is have safe people around you.
Oh my gosh. Yes. A hundred
You
percent.
feel in safety, and it's so important to
Yes.
have those people around you.
You know, I think for me, because he understands this kind of abuse, not that he received it or gave it in any other way, but he knows when I'm
Mhm.
in like a self-sabotage because that's something that
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Like as
yeah.
you get happy, you're like,
Yeah.
but I'm not supposed to feel like this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so he's like, okay, I can see that you're going down this road. Let's talk about this. Or if I'm like really exhausted, he's like, okay, did you have a hard client? And we don't talk about clients, but he's like, did you have a hard client? My
Mm.
narcissistic abuse clients, we don't talk about. Our other clients we talk about, but not those specifically. And
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
and he like will give me in my blanket. And my, I have these little
Oh,
great
bless
heating
him.
pads. Oh my gosh. And I'll post where we get these. There's this place in Santa Cruz. So we're in California that we get these, and they're filled with
Wow.
rice and
Oh,
lavender.
wow.
And they just like you heat them up, and like I
Yeah.
just have them on my lap. And
Nice.
he he is like, and I say this all the time, and there's an inside joke that he's the best husband. And he is the best husband. And like other people that I've had on, they're all, oh, my husband's the best, but yours is better. So, and I think that for every person, you'll find your person. Like if you
Yeah.
haven't found them yet, as you
Yeah.
will find a person. And that's okay if it takes a little time.
Mhm.
But once you find them, that it's like a puzzle piece.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like
Definitely.
a really beautiful thing. And I think that one of the things that I think is really beautiful is how you've really kind of rebuilt this self trust in yourself
Mhm.
after, 36 years or 26 years of going through this
Mhm.
with your mom, of being conditioned to doubt yourself. How did you really kind of start that process? And then, like, how do you continue to focus when you veer off?
I think it is, like I said, it's an ongoing thing, but it goes back to my support network.
Mhm,
And I've got a really strong circle around me. And when I have moments where I'm spiraling out, I
mhm,
will sit them down and I'll say, listen, this has
mhm,
triggered me. You
mhm,
haven't
mhm,
done anything wrong. It's nothing you've
mhm.
done. It's a me
Yep.
thing. But I just need to
Right.
let you know that this is what's
Mhm.
going on. And they're like your husband, they're really good at recognizing when I'm spiraling and they'll calm
I
me
love
down
that.
and they'll make me feel safe. And, they just validate me. And I think that's so important because we've growing up never being validated,
Yep.
you
Yep.
start to question yourself and be like, am I
Yep.
overreacting? Am I
Yes.
being dramatic? So to have someone
Hmm.
say, no, it's okay for you to have those emotions and feel them,
Right.
it makes such a difference.
Well, and I think, for me, and we talked a little bit about having this chosen family. I think for me, especially with both sides of my family, I do talk to my dad. I joke that my dad has a tendency to draw narcissists. My mom, my stepmom, and I said the jury's still out on his current girlfriend, who I haven't met because he's up north. But I wasn't surrounded by motherly women, with the exception of my grandmothers, that really kind of reached out and like helped that. And with my chosen family, my mother-in-law is like fantastic. Like I can ask her
Mhm.
certain things, and I watch her with our kids and with my husband, and I'm like, gosh, that's just so it's such a beautiful thing to
Yeah,
experience, even though it might not be directed to me. That
yeah.
experience of what a really beautiful maternal relationship looks like.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it really does like solidify the like learning to love myself, which has
Mhm.
taken time, I think, for
Yeah.
me. And what does that for you look like in like everyday moments? Like, what do you do in those moments to kind of solidify, you know what? I really love myself today.
So I think I've kind of dug deep into inner child healing. So that
Hmm.
has really, really helped me. Like go back to that little girl that didn't feel the love and show her that she was loved.
I love
Um,
that.
that has kind of taught me a lot.
Hmm.
And I feel so connected now to my inner child, and
Love
I
that.
feel like he's so nurtured. And
Hmm. Hmm.
I recently wrote a children's book because I felt like
Oh,
my inner child needed a story.
I love
So
that. We're gonna put that in the notes. Show us the
so
book so
this
we see it.
is the children's book. It's a phoenix.
Oh, how cute is that? I
So
love that little
it's
phoenix.
about this little phoenix who she's living in a nest and it's not safe,
Hmm.
and she's all the emotions we feel growing up, and she comes
Hmm.
across an owl who tells her, it's okay to leave if your nest is not safe. So she goes off on this journey to find her chosen family, and she comes across
Aw,
them and they love her and they celebrate her, and
I
yeah.
love that. That's
So
so cute. I love
I
it.
just felt like if my inner child had heard that story when she was younger, she
Mm-hmm.
would have had a lot more confidence, and there would have been no blaming, no wondering what she done wrong. And
I
yeah.
love that. I've I follow this Instagram. I can't remember. I'll share it in the
Yeah.
show notes, but there is this like farm out here in the US that has like a bunch of sheep and little lambs
Oh
and like
wow.
dogs and chickens and stuff. And they always are posting about their dogs going out with this little lamb that follows them, and they call it a shuppy because it's a
Oh,
sheep and she
puppy.
thinks that she's a puppy.
Oh, that's so
She
cute. I
thinks,
need to meet
yeah.
her.
Okay, I will share. I'm going to send you the
I'm
video.
gonna come to California
Oh,
now
good.
just to meet her.
Oh my
And you.
God, this it's okay, good. I'm glad. It's so freaking cute, but it reminds me of this phoenix and of like
Yeah.
she's not even around her lamb mom or
Yeah.
dad. She's like, These are my people.
And
I'm a
that's like
shuppy
the
now."
perfect analogy for
Yes.
a narcissistic, like daughters of narciss, even
Yeah.
sons, to know
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter where you came from, like you
Yes.
can find your tribe with
Yeah.
anyone.
Now I don't know. I don't want to diagnose this lamb's parents as narcissists, but if they were, I joked a couple episodes ago that Punch the Monkey, his
Oh,
mom was a narcissist
yeah, like
because
she just
like,
left him.
yeah, like who does that?
That
He's
story
so
made me
cute.
so sad.
I know. The thing that, and I share this for daughters who are younger listening. If you have perimenopause questions, ask me. But like my eyes just leak now all the
Yeah.
time because of perimenopause. Like I'm just crying all the time. And I don't ever remember being a crier. I think
Yeah.
because my mom was like emotions, right? And so I was like,
Yeah. But
so
that might also be linked to us never being able to feel our emotions, because
yeah.
I'm such a crier now as well. Like I feel everything so deeply, whether
Yes.
it's like happiness or
Yes.
sad, like I
Yes.
really
Yes.
feel it.
Yes, and it for me it's a really interesting thing. And my older daughter and my younger bonus daughter, they're criers and they always feel so bad when they cry. I'm like, what? I've never like we've never made you feel bad when you're crying. Like
No.
it's
But
like you
that's what
have
I
to
mean. Like
cry.
society tells you, like,
Yeah.
don't be sad, don't be
Yeah.
angry. I
Yeah.
had my little nephew one day, and there was one day he just was in a bad mood. He
Yeah.
arrived in a bad mood, and he was just
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Do you need a hug? Like, should we
He's like,
talk about
"Mhm.
this? What do you need? Do you need to
Yeah.
cry? Should we cry?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
That's
just think
totally.
it's so important to validate that in children as well, and just let them feel those emotions.
Yeah. Well, and I think the world would be a better place if we like it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could just be like someone is upset, you acknowledge it, and then
Yeah,
they get through it because I think for a lot of people, and I will say this for maybe for the US and maybe our colonizers, the UK, where there was like this whole thought process of pushing down all your emotions, and then, like for us, the US, we are a beautiful melting pot of all these different immigrants and different cultures, and they all are so different. And
yeah,
we watch and the history like shows that those cultures that have been able to like talk about their emotions, display their emotions, do that stuff historically are a lot better off. And what we like in the US have done is nope, you're angry if you do
yeah,
that. Nope, you and
yeah,
that
yeah.
that is not a good thing. So
It's not a good thing.
ugh,
I
so
honestly believe that if you suppress your emotions, it's
mhm.
going to manifest into illness
Oh,
and yeah,
100%. I think that it will manifest into other things, right? And
yeah,
for people, especially like for me, I don't know if you experience that. I pick at my fingers. Like I'm constantly when I'm anxious, because I think
Yeah.
that's what I did when I was with my mom, or like I have a jittery leg where I just,
I have a jittery leg. Yeah.
yeah, where that like I bounce it up and down,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
there's certain things that
Sometimes
we,
I'll do that to my hair. I'll just like,
yep, I do that
yeah.
too. Yeah. So it manifests in different ways, and luckily by, the grace of a higher power, we've been able to get out of these things. But for a
Mhm.
lot of survivors, I think, they are highly attuned to their emotions, but then they disconnect
Yeah.
from themselves. What did for you personally, what did that look like when all those things started coming back to you? And you were able to say, okay, this means I'm in danger. This means I'm really happy. What did that look like for you?
It was a lot. Like I said, it was like that pressure cooker
Mhm,
and it all kind of came out at once. But I've learned to be really good at just reading what my body needs. So
mhm,
some days I'll wake up and I'll be like, I just want to stay in bed today. And
mhm,
I'll stay in bed.
mhm,
Or if I'm sad about something, sometimes I just cry for no reason. I don't even know why
mhm.
I'm crying, but I just feel
Right.
like I need to cry. And I love a
Right.
good cry. I'm like, get it all out.
Yes. Yes. That's one of the things I found myself over the course of the last couple of years. Like I'll cry in the shower, like
Yeah.
randomly.
Such a good
And
way to let
it's,
it
yeah,
out.
I'm like, this is so
Clean it up
weird.
and
Why
let
am
it
I
out in
crying?
one go.
You're right. But there's this really great film that I watched. It's called What Dreams May Come, and it was a book, and Robin Williams was in it. And every time I watch that film, it like makes me cry because it's I won't say too much about it. People have to watch it, but it's about love, and about love not only in the sense of love with your partner and being able to find them, but also with like your children
Yeah.
or you with your parents, and your chosen family, and how you all find each other in every lifetime. And I think it's so beautiful because, like I always joke with my husband, I say I'm going to find you like way sooner in the
Yeah.
next
In
lifetime,
the next life.
because
Yeah.
I was in my mid to late 30s when I found him, and sure, that's a lot of time, but I'm like, we need to find each
It's
other
not enough
like,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not enough. Like if I could, I always joke with him, my love language is if I could sit on his lap and do my work, that's what I would do. And he's like, that would not be
You
okay
sound
with
like a
me.
French bulldog. That's what my dog does. She like wants
Oh,
to be with me all the time.
that's so funny. We used to have a corgi, and he was the same way with my husband, like
Yeah.
literally up on top of him. And there's this other corgi Instagram that I follow, where this one corgi would just run up and be like this on his dad's face. He put his little nose right here on his face. That's
So
funny. And I love French bulldogs. They're hilarious. They're
they're
so
so
cute.
funny. We have two. Yeah, they're definitely characters.
I love it. I love it. What can you tell me? What are some patterns that you have believed that you've had to really kind of unlearn about yourself?
I think maybe that I wasn't enough.
Mhm,
Um, that I think a big one for me that I probably still work on to this day, I'm definitely getting better at it,
mhm.
is that I'm stupid.
Ugh,
And I
yeah.
think that stems from not going to school. So
Interesting.
where I wasn't in those group environments,
Yep.
now put me in
Mhm,
a group environment and sometimes I'll
mhm,
be so quiet because I'm like, oh, I don't want to say that because I don't want to sound stupid. And then
mhm,
someone else will say what I wanted to say, and I'm like, oh, I should have said it because they said it, and no one's looking at them and
mhm.
laughing. And yeah,
Well, you're
it's
not stupid.
thank
Just so
you.
you know, you're not. Like, I think that the stuff that you share and the gifts that you have to be able to communicate with people, I think it's a really important thing. And
Yeah.
I know for me, like, I don't like being around people. Like, I can do interviews and do this kind of stuff because we're
Yeah.
not like right next to each other. But, I don't particularly enjoy going out into the world. Some of it is
Yeah.
because, our world is a crazy place, but some of it is also like, I'm like, okay, I love my house. I think some of that comes with the security of my
Yeah,
husband.
yeah.
He bought this house
You
like
know
20
what to
years ago.
expect.
Yes, I know what to expect. I know that it's not going anywhere because
Yeah, yeah.
oftentimes with narcissists, they're really bad with money. And
Mm.
so there's like this whole thing of having to move all the time. And then I go to my mother-in-law's house and like those places I feel comfortable with. And like we'll walk in the neighborhood. We live in a beautiful neighborhood. There's like a pond and like stores and there's farmers markets. But I'm like, I don't really want to deal with people. like
Yeah, no, I get
I'm
that.
chill.
I get that. And I find it where I'm such an empath as well. And I think when you've grown up with a
It's
narcissistic
mhm.
mother, you become super hyper vigilant as well. So
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
constantly analyzing everyone's moods, and that's
Yes.
exhausting.
Yeah.
So when there's so many people around, sometimes
Get
it's like
exhausted.
a radio that's not tuned
Hmm.
in. It's just
Yes.
like,
It's interesting that you say that because when we walk so we'll walk around. It's a very safe neighborhood, but we'll walk at night and we'll walk around the pond that we have here. And I'm like gripped onto my husband, like hands. And then if I hear anything, I like squeeze his hand really tight. And he's like, you're okay. We're okay. Nothing's going
yeah,
to happen. I'm like, okay, right. But I'm always ready to go. I'm ready to
we're
fight.
constantly on high alert, like
Yes. Yes. It's
analyzing.
crazy.
I don't think people realize how exhausting it is to be us. Like we
Oh
walk
my
into a
gosh.
room and
I know.
we have
Hmm.
to do risk control.
Yes. And it's not because, let me make this clear. It's not because we're crazy. It's because we are like, okay, we know that if something is too much, that's going to trigger it's like a circuit breaker in
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so we're trying to figure out, like, when I look at a room,
Mm.
and like if we are going to like my mother-in-law's for an event, they often throw events, is I'll look and scan the room for someone that I know.
Yeah.
And then I don't ever let my husband, like without him saying, hey, I'm just gonna go over here. So that I know where he's at. Because the
Mhm.
same kind of thing happens. I we were at an event and I was talking to this person and I was saying, they said, oh, where did you go to school? Because that's very common here. Where did you go to school? I was like, oh, I went to Santa Clara University and I got my degree in neuropsychology. And they're
Mm.
like, oh, psychology, huh? I have a bone to pick with you. And I was like, okay, all right. And then they like said something like, oh, they had to do like a memory test. And in the memory test, and this is very common, like a psychologist will give you three words that are for you to
Yeah.
remember. And then they'll come back to it. They'll have like a whole series of tests and they'll say, oh, do you remember those three words? And it's a part of testing your memory. And the
Mm.
person's like, well, I didn't remember those three words. He said something to me and then we were talking and then later, so conversation had ended.
Yeah.
Later he said, so this is the bone I want to pick with you. And I was like, there, everyone's around, are you really going to do this now? And I was like,
Wow.
okay. So he goes through this whole thing and he said, and you're in psychology, so do you know the three words? And I said, no, I don't know your three words. Do you remember your three words? And I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Just
Now you're questioning the stuff you
right.
said.
Right. And he's like, no, I don't remember the three words. I was like, well, that's probably where you are now. And then I was like, oh God. And I was squeezed my husband's hand.
Yeah.
But I
We
think that for me,
analyze
mhm,
every
yes,
conversation.
yes. I mean, this happened like 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm still analyzing the
Yeah.
conversation.
I've definitely
Right.
got better. Now I'll just like my filter's kind of fizzling out and I'll just
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
But it depends who I'm around.
Yes. And here's a trick I will give you as you get older, like, 20 years from now, when perimenopause hits for you, that filter disappears.
Hmm.
Like it's completely gone for
Yeah.
me. And I think for me, what it's also done is for a lot of the family that I used to be around, probably like 5 years ago, like I won't even be around them anymore because I'm like, okay, I'm good. Because
Yeah.
that's really not what safety for me feels
Mhm.
like. And so I think some of it has to do with, my mom and doing all that kind of stuff. But what does safety for you really look like today in comparison to what it used to look like?
I think I'm really drawn to peace now,
Hmm.
which is completely different to what I would have
Hmm.
said 10 years ago because the
Hmm.
silence used to trigger me because I was
Yes.
so used to the silent treatment. And now the silence is just like, because it's a safe silence now,
Hmm.
it's not a threat anymore.
Yes. I think that's one of the things that I often tell my clients in this narcissistic abuse because they're like, oh, I haven't heard from them. Like if they're starting to go no contact.
Mm.
And I was like, the silence is okay. Like
Yeah,
they have used silence to control you before, but this is okay. And
yeah,
all the feelings, like feel all your feelings and you'll get through them.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
you're going to be okay. And I think what I want to close on is, for our daughters who are listening, who are still listening at the end of this and who are really questioning themselves or feel confused or stuck. What would you want them to hear in regards to like what they could do?
I think definitely to know that they're not alone.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, it's not your fault,
mhm, mhm,
and you deserve to be loved and happy.
mhm. I love that. And I just want to close on that. Thank you, Kylie.
Thank
Kylie
you.
B, thank you. It's been so lovely to get to
It's
know
been
you.
lovely.
And I can't wait to have you on again, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're going to put all the information for your books,
Mhm.
for your courses, all in the show notes. So they'll
Yeah,
have them. And we're going to have you on in our little group too. So I can't wait.
amazing. Can't wait. I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again, Kylie, for your honesty and your voice. And to everyone listening, if this felt familiar, trust yourself. Your experience is real and your healing matters. Thank you for listening to the Beyond Mommy Dearest podcast. You're not broken, you adapted. Healing from a narcissistic mother is real, possible, and you never have to do it with shame. I'm your host, Noelani Pearl Hernandez, and until next time, take gentle care of yourself.
Your skin is a part of your nervous system, and taking care of it is essential to overall balance. Our products are specifically formulated to nourish your skin and bring it closer to homeostasis with every use. Start feeling better in your body today with the Happy Cannabis.
Enter to win a special contest from our sponsor, the Happy Cannabis. Follow both Mommy Dearest and the Happy Cannabis on Instagram and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts, and you'll be entered to win.